Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez, Secretary Salvador Mijaldía, Congressman Antonio Florendo Jr., Mr. Mayor James Gamau, Mr. Alexander Valoria, the members of the Florendo family, distinguished guests, my beloved countrymen. I was about very young, as in young. I had the occasion to accompany my father to visit North Davao, then a part of one huge province. And I can remember that at that time, there was a talk about Mr. Florendo who fell off his horse and that he was injured. And my father asked questions about the state of the abaca plantation. Yan ho ang una ninyo. I was small then, but I realized that the hugeness of the plantation. Few years later, you branch out into the banana industry, then to real estate, and to something big, really big, and it is really DITC, which is the biggest now. I remember also your Damosa, the historical landmark of the Florendos here in Davao before, because it was the dealer shop that we bought our first car, yung Galaxy Ford. Yes. Yun ang una namin. At yun na rin pinakahuli. Because thereafter, my father transferred to work in Manila. You know what I just maybe not so learned philosophy about toll trade. We are shrinking very fast. What used to be 1 month to cross the Pacific, something like just about a matter of 2 weeks. And the boats are fast, and the aircrafts have become high-tech, and we are actually near to each other, even in a matter of state nations. Sa naalaala ko doon sa mahina kasi yung economic teachers namin. Pero what I remember from him was this, the constant theory is that whether you export or you import goods and services, you go always for the fastest, the safest, and the cheapest. Nowadays, seems to be that all has been prophesied about a decade earlier. But this time we are full also of troubles. Instead of making the maritime sea safe, international waters secured for everybody, we have now the conflicts in Africa, the narrow alley there that passes by Somalia, and of course the Moluccos, where there is a constant threat of piracy they call it. And so yan ang nagugulo natin dito ngayon. And also this time, there is a threat, not really a threat, but it could be a potential plus point, itong China Sea. For as long as China would just remain its posturing now and does not in any way continue to build structures that would prevent or obstruct maritime journeys there, okay lang. Ang problema nito, if it continues to build up, as we have just read the intelligence report last night, and there seems to be new barges coming in, and they suspect that's going to be another construction somewhere. E pagka ganon, and when the time comes that there is really a military institutions, everything will violate the constant theory that my economic professor told me. Because one of that is that it must be the safest and it must be the cheapest, the shortest. Because if you don't, you go up around the Pacific. Ang problema nito is we do not really know what the intentions of China are. Ano ba talaga gusto niya? Because if he continues building military installations there, everything will go up. Then trade in this part of that alley there, that corridor, would go up. And insurance would go up for the ship and the goods that they transport. Because then it would be a source of conflict, and thereby the threat is always there. And so the actuarians now would say that it is not as safe as it used to be 5 or 10 years ago. And so we have every reason to increase the insurance. Pag kaya na ang pumasok, then I'm afraid that my professor was correct. That it could not be the cheapest, the fastest, and the shortest route. Yan ang problema. I'll just limit myself to that. I have nothing against China now. I do not intend to raise the issue before the ASEAN because if I do, there's going to be a convoluted thing there. Kanya-kanya na. When as a matter of fact, it is just an issue between the Philippines and China. I will not because I do not want any clutters there. But for sure, and you can be very sure of this, that when we face bilateral, kung magkaharap na kami sa mga counterpart ko from Beijing or somewhere, I said there will be a time when I will say that this is the arbitral ruling. And if you want to talk to me, this will be my platform, and we do not go out of the four corners of this document. Whether you like it or not, I proceed, and my predicate for my willingness to talk to you would be the arbitration judgment in our favor. It has nothing to do with being afraid. We do not have to be afraid of anybody. We can maybe fight, maybe can lose a battle, but if it's a war, well, I don't know how many nations will get into it. We are all for peace. I do not want to ignite anything there. I've been holding my tongue, and as my nature, probably you know by now, I'm the guy that would just blurt out anything that enters my mind. But, that is not an idiosyncrasy that would be personal to me. I carry on my shoulders the burden of this country. I am the president. I take care solely of the foreign affairs of this country, and I should be wary of my behavior and gesture, and even in the official and personal capacity. Yan lang ho ang makita ko dito na everything is all right. You see ships beyond the boundaries of our international waters. But sometimes there are things that would just crop up. It has never been raised before as assiduous as this. But now, if you ask them, China would just say that we will not honor it. Huwag natin banggain muna. Because there are no formal talks. But you can be very sure. Pag kami na lang eyeball to eyeball, sabihin ko talaga, let us not talk of anything else. Let us talk about this arbitration. But not now. Timing lang ho yan. I was a bit, it was unsettling coming here sakay ako sa chopper at nabasa ko yung report that yung Coast Guard made some little trips near them under a lot of barges and, a barge. What is the purpose of a barge? You put something there and bring it somewhere. Usually, I think they're starting to Samasinlok, and this should be another Rocos there. I don't know. We have a one-on-one. Maybe I'll just bring it. Pero yung eyeball to eyeball kami lang. Philippines with China. Pero kung I have to face China, Russia, and the United States, then Philippines on one side, and they can ask questions, maybe I'll just have to navigate into something like, I am not prepared to talk to the United States at this time. I am not ready to exchange barbs there with China. I don't know. I'll just proceed with the right drift that we do not want any quarrel. That we do not want any at all at this time. Except that we want to trade, commerce with everybody. We have plenty to sell, plenty to ship. I hope that it would not be the time where we have to make crucial decisions in our national life. Isip ko nga nandito man si Ambassador Lagdameo, ano kaya sir, sa China ka lang muna? Medyo mukhang tigasin itong mga natin. But my thing there is I would just love a soft landing. Soft landing lang ako. But ay sana hindi mangyari. But ang problema nito, everybody is interested like Vietnam, then you have Malaysia, then you have Indonesia. Ang problema nito, wala akong correct reading sa kanila. And even sa Malaysia, because they also have the same problem, which is really personified by the Philippines, kaysa tayo yung nauna, tayo yung nag-file. And I would say that it will be the credit of President Aquino. Credit is given where it is due. Ang problema, it is accompanied now by so many maraming ang naka-attach doon is something which is big. And, so they say that they would not honor it. But we cannot be, we can only take so much. We can only take so much. But you cannot be slapped every day with that kind of words. Kung sabihin mo na parang naghamon ka na, anybody told and sundry, I'm not willing to agree on anything because that is ours. Sabihin ng kabila, which is also our position. And the international court supporting us clearly in plain language, atin talaga. But since we are a small country, we cannot match the arms and armaments and the weaponry of China. So at this time, take out war as an option. If there is no war, there is only one thing that we can do. China says it is not good to go to war because of many reasons. But ours, frankly, going to the brass tacks, going to the minimum, yan? Hindi talaga natin kaya. It's going to be a massacre. So, hold muna tayo. Let us find out how we go about, I said, navigating the stormy waters there. But I'm sure, as your president, hindi ko kayo ipapasubo. Pero hindi ko kayo ipapahiya. There will be a time when I have to make a stand. And have to make it clear to China that, every time you talk about sole ownership or even entitlements there is something which is totally unacceptable to us. So yun lang ang masasabi ko for the time. just ignore the politics in the national level. Political lang talaga yan. It's all politics. The problem is, sabihin na, ang problema kasi nitong mga tao natin, mga opisyal, puro politika. But you must remember that in a democracy, the leaders are elected by the people. And therefore, you cannot take away entirely, even after elections, what you should be doing for the next few months. Because after 3 years, count it by 12, there's gonna be a election again. Ang mabuti na lang sa akin because I sit there for 6 years and I can plan. As I have said, kayong gustong tumulong, ano ba? Tumulong, rather. May Tagalog is very bad. Those of you who really want to help this country, your country, now is the time to do it. Ngayon na sa panahon ko. I assure you, it will be a clean government, as I have repeatedly stressed. There will be no graft and corruption. And I stake my name, life, and the presidency itself. Ngayon na, take advantage of that. And for as long as you inform me, there will be no problem at all. I am available to everybody, not only to the cabinet officials. You have so many friends that are connected to me. Tony Boy, si sino? Si Speaker. Puro taga Davao ang humahawak ng... Are you not surprised that lahat ng humahawak ng gobyerno ngayon taga Davao? It is really the time of the Davaoenos. You know, before they were saying that pangit kung to divide Davao. But there was already ripe talks that dapat ang Davao i-divide na to spur development. But since it was my father who was the governor of the undivided Davao, parang I sense na ayaw niya na gusto niya. Kasi when you start to divide a kingdom, it always affects the king. So nakita ko na yung wisdom ngayon. It was good that Davao was really divided, but it started to be a gerrymandering, like giving territories to your political lieutenants. But then as time passed, kanya-kanya na ang competition. So you have Davao. You want to call it Davao del Norte, Davao lang. Then you have Del Sur also, little movement there. About time really to in that area because the lands there are owned by a few families. Just for example, Digos was just a barrio of the municipality of Santa Cruz noon. Do you know that? Nung hiniwalay sila doon sa landed estates, sa mga may-ari, then they started to occupy, used to be known as the Patipadada Christensen plantation. Then you have the Doromals of Malita, the Car of Santa Maria. Nung na-divide na, and even Oriental, it's moving really not as fast as Davao del Norte. Ang Davao del Norte, maswerte lang kasi dito yung horizons nakaset yung mata ni Antonio Florendo Sr. So, yun siya ang visionary talaga. Siya yung dapat naging gobernador dito sana. But ayaw niya ng a little bit of disdain sa politics. But he supported candidates, including me, my father, and lahat. At hanggang ngayon, so mga anak na. Pero I suppose that the theory of dividing it into several local governments to spur up competition and development. Competition is very important. But the biggest to rise in Mindanao, yung UNFLO and the DICT now. which I would just like to simply call AMFLO na lang para madali. Total, yun naman talaga ang ano, is the name that carried the family all throughout till the next generation. So again, I would like to thank DICT or ANFLO, the family, for giving back the profits of the years, plowing it back into some enterprises. And it has now, the ANFLO provided jobs, opportunities, and all. And the ancillary, pati yung mga collateral businesses allied along the way. So again, congratulations at mabuhay ang ANFLO.
Respond to 3 questions only. Yes, 3 questions. First question. Okay, Ina.
Kindly use the
one
microphone.
question, one follow-up, then we'll follow.
One question, one follow-up.
Yes, ma'am.
Guard, following what you mentioned earlier, that you received reports that there seems to be new barges coming from China at the Scarborough. How are you gonna address that, considering you said
Well,
that it seems they're building more structures there again?
Timely that I am going to Laos to attend the ASEAN, there will be a time there's going to be a one-on-one with China, the United States, Russia, pati another one. Trying to figure out basta yung the heavyweights of the planet. I don't know if it's a one-on-one na per country or one-on-one with the group tapos kami dito sa other side. But maybe in the private talks, yung chika-chika na kami, I'd like the ambassador to just answer me one question. Is there any ongoing construction for expansion in the South China Sea? And whether or not we can still have the fishing rights, which is really the entitlement of our country, having won the arbitral proceedings.
So you mean, sir, they still have not yet responded to your appeal to
No,
China to let our fishermen go back?
I should be expecting a favorable answer when I get to Laos 4 days from now.
Last from me. Still
Yes.
on the ASEAN, sir. It's your first ASEAN summit. What message do you want to give or deliver to the ASEAN community? And have you already discussed or finalized your talking points with U.S. President Obama and President Putin?
Well, I would just say that we are ready to cooperate in establishing good order among nations. That we are ready to do our part internationally, comply with our obligations, comply with the contracts that we have entered into with foreigners in this country doing business. And we are ready to talk also about terrorism and human trafficking, drugs, making my country a transshipment also by the Sinaloa and all of those big drug syndicates in China. And in Asia, rather. And in China, because most of the drug lords are there.
Sir, yung talking points, nandun yun sa tanong ko. Talking points with President Obama and President Putin, sir, have you finalized this?
Well, I do not, I simply do not, you are talking about anything and everything. They can have their own agenda, but I can have mine. And I do not, it's not in my system really I do not prepare speeches. I do not have notes. I just go along the drift where the talk is going to.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Ina. Mia, next question. One question, one follow-up.
Hi, sir. Sir, you mentioned before...
5 ka kasi kaibigan tayo hanggang mahulog yung
Sir, you
madilim na.
mentioned before that you won't declare a state of emergency in Sulu because of the ESG.
No,
But
no,
however,
nothing of
sir,
the sort.
at what certain point?
Well, we
will you
have, I
consider
said, fighting going on. And as of the latest, it's between the Abu Sayyaf and the MILF. I think ang naipit dyan ang MN. So, pagka ganon, we could not have a peaceful talk there in Holo. I suggest that Ms. Suarez just simply goes out of his lair there, his den, and if he wants, I'll have him, the military or the police will just escort him to Davao for a better place or any other place he wants to be when he begins to talk to me. I mean, I don't care whether it's in Holo, Zamboanga, it's fine with me.
Okay.
Sir,
Follow up, okay.
Sige, oh.
Sir, there's this text message circulating that the ASG will attack one of the military camps. Sir, do you have any order to the
Well,
AFP,
that should put us in full alert now because of reprisals, and that is nothing new to us. It could be anywhere. It could be in the whole of Mindanao. It seems that my plans have been overtaken because I've been wanting to have more police staff trained, about 5 battalions and several new recruits for soldiers of the AFP.
Okay. Thank you, Mia. Lala Babylonia.
Hi, sir. How are you after the assassination plot? And is it true that Vice Mayor Paulo Duterte requested for additional security for your family?
Well, he must be worried because he has many children. Nakakatakot lang rin. Ako, Inday pati sila, kaya na nila yan. And Sebastian, medyo malikot to, pasyal ng pasyal. But otherwise, we can defend ourselves.
Sir,
I can walk where I want to go, and sinasangay ko yung sarili ko.
how about Kitty, sir, your little...
Well, that one thing, she has, I think, security also. But siya lang. Ako, anyway, it's useless to be talking about the Presidential Security Command because they're always around me, whether I like it or not. I have been driving them away day one. But they just don't believe me, so there's nothing I can do. Alam mo naman ako, malapit sa tao. I go to where I embrace them, I chika-chika. That has always been my norm as a politician. But apparently, when you are already a president, everything changes. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. Ika nga.
But, sir, last question po. But are you planning to lessen your schedule outside Malacanang?
Again, ma'am.
Are you planning na bawasan po yung schedule niyo outside Malacanang?
No. I will not. Ayoko na magyabang, pero no. Absolutely no.
Thanks.
I
Okay.
live the way I want it. I work the way I must.
Thank you, Lala.
Sige, oh. Wala pa, dalawa pa lang. Mga 20 ito sila.
Sir, good afternoon. Sir, coming into the ASEAN Summit, you mentioned kanina that I'm Chino Gaston from GMA, sir. You mentioned na we cannot be slapped every day, may hangganan, and then you eventually have to make a stand.
Yes,
Yes,
because
sir.
I hope China would realize that we went out of our way, we walked the extra mile to be conscious about this thing that we are not supposed to ignite. Ang problema is every time that they would reply, they would always say that they are not willing to obey the arbitral. They could have stated it otherwise. Ako hindi ako gumamit. Ako yung nanalo, hindi ako gumamit ng arbitral. Seldom. Sana naman, huwag na lang ninyong tanungin rin sila kung i-honor nila because they have said they refuse. What I would just want to know is there any additional construction going on especially in the area of Masinloc. Because if it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, much as I would like to avoid trouble now, the other countries might just decide to invoke the maritime safety and begin to question using us, since we have the arbitral judgment in our hands. At kasi magsalita ka na, ikaw yung may hawak ng award. So, I do not dread the day, but I would just like to be comfortable until such time that I talk to them bilateral, face to face, eyeball to eyeball.
Okay. Sir, you also gave credit to the former president.
Yes, because he was the one who initiated the filing of the case before the RBSI based on UNCLOS doon sa International Tribunal.
Okay. Thank you, Chino.
But that would put us in a right bearing. Kaya nga, it is a journey to the future, but it has placed us in the right bearing. Yes, sir. May I help you?
Yes. Michael Sullivan, sir.
Can you use the...
Can I just ask, do you care one way or another about the growing criticism, both at home and especially abroad, about the rising death toll in the war on drugs?
No, not at all. Not a bit, because I said there is a crisis. If we are a small country with limited resources, with not so much money at hand, I am operating on a budget that was prepared by the other year, the previous year. The budget of tomorrow, just like in any country, America, is you prepare the budget now for next year's implementation. You know, we do not have the money because it is not in the budget. Nobody would have known that when I become president, that there will be 3,700,000. I was worried about Davao. I thought it was also serious. But I never thought that it would reach in that dimension when I become president, because it has reached millions already. I have a problem here. So I will solve it the way with my limited resources and the way I want it. I am not worried about the international community because I am not the president of the international countries. I am the president of the Republic of the Philippines, and I must solve decisively this problem, or else the 3,700,000 will compromise the next generation of Filipinos. That is the thing that worries me, not the international community. For all that they can always talk and talk. I am invoking sovereignty, no interference. We never interfered in anybody's business.
But the number of killings that have occurred that are not police-related, that are not attributed to the police,
What?
do those bother you?
That is the work of people also. It's the internecine, and that is the result of the intrigue we planted so many years ago. We arrested him, but we released him, and we'll just say that, arrest the other guy that he was appointed by you. Then this guy will be arrested and say, you know, it was B, not us. Then when they start killing each other, you add more intrigues and they'll kill each other. Better. Criminals kill criminals. That is not my worry. It is the extrajudicial killing of people getting rid of the criminals by their own hands. But we are 104 millions, and I cannot control the criminal minds here. You must remember that along the way, the drug crisis hurt so many people, including parents, who raised their children from childhood to college, spending money and time with your family, taking care, and to realize at the end of the day, your son or daughter is a hook and destroyed for life. That is a thing that you should worry. or a soldier assigned here in Mindanao, fighting in Holo, only to learn, and there is a case, I cannot be specific now, then he was ordered home because her daughter was raped. And she was only first grade. And I am sure you know Duterte Harry. And Duterte Harry felt something for the community. And if you are a soldier or a policeman, and your child get hooks, with all the expenses, and you have to borrow from the government insurance system for every election, every enrollment, and then you find your son destroyed, do you think that I'll just limit myself to 100? I am telling you, I'll tell you frankly now, and you can repeat it all, that if I were the father, and I took care of this child, a girl, and then suddenly she's found dead, raped, would you think that I'd be contented just killing 1, 2, 3? No. It's always an eye for an eye at the end of the day. Who taught us? The movie of...
Okay, thank you, sir.
Who's that? Clint Eastwood personified it that way. And most of us saw the pictures, and every Departed or so many movies about Leon Neeson, about his daughter getting... What's the difference between Leon Neeson killing a lot of Europeans there and Americans because of what happened to her daughter? That is the same thing that happens in the... That is why the scriptwriter knows what's in the mind of the human being, and they write it, and they make it into movies. And it showed us, give us an example, and we think that the movie is good, and we should follow it. I mean, to the average family man. Now, how about the so many Clint Eastwoods in the police department? Well, if it is bad, then it should have been not shown at all, because it will poison the mind of everybody in the world. But since it was good, and it was only rated R for adults, everything is shaped up by the culture of the world now. It's a sinking world. So what goes in the mind of the Americans? And for example, how can you explain policemen shooting a black man there? So, one criminal mind of the United States Police, 10, 20 criminal minds of the police there. What's really the... Tell me what's the difference? A difference in figures or a difference in the paradigm?
So your war, no regrets?
No.
None.
Listen, my friend, can I consider you a friend?
I would hope so.
Okay. Let's limit ourselves to the truth. Oh, okay. I'll tell you. I stake my life, my honor, and the presidency itself. Anytime. Anytime. They can impeach me, they can kill me. I'm 71 years old. I have to protect the next generation, considering the sheer number of people without money. So when you are a user, you have to push to finance your urging, because you have to have a fix in the day. Although it's small, they said it's a very poor community. Correct. I would not disagree with that. But at the end of the day, after selling to all of these poor people, you get about $1 million net. At the end of the day, that is what happens. Let us understand reality first before we go to the ideal theories of human rights and everything. For after all, America and Britain went into Iraq, killed so many people on one theory that there was weapons of mass destruction. Turned out there was none at all. And so how many people were killed? Women widowed. How many women, children were killed along the way? And yet there is no apology except from Blair. When I said that, I was sorry. This one is armor, and it kills people. This one is only a bullet in the head. This one explodes and destroys the man that is being hit into bits and pieces. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Wala na pong questions. So,
My helicopter would...
helicopter,
anyway, if I go down the sea, you are to blame. Go ahead.
no more.
No, I said, in this presidency, I said, I stake my life, my honor, and the presidency itself. I don't really need it that badly.
Okay. Thank you
Just don't fuck with the next Filipinos, because there will be a portion of that next generation that is or will be fractured. Shabu, constant use of shabu for 1 year, your forensics say, not us, will shrink the brain of a person. You're better off with poppy, because it is organic, naturally grown. Heroin and cocaine does not really. Shabu is a deadly mix, and if you really want to know, the water used there is the water that you use in your battery.
Okay.
So I have now about 700 crazy people running around. I cannot build. Why don't you build so many rehab centers? You know, I became a president mid-step operating on a budget that will last for the end of. That is how it is in all governments. We never expect, or they who prepared it the previous year did not expect the real number of people that was, the real damage that was done to my country. I was very strict here, no problem. Many people were killed, but Davao is safe. You can, now you try that in Manila. I challenge you, you walk here in Davao. And if you are mugged there or robbed there, I will resign. I'm telling you publicly. Go around. And if you are hurt, you lose a penny or your wallet or held up, tell me, as long as it is the truth, I said we limit ourselves to the truth, I will resign. Okay? Next. Sorry, the pilots are worried. The
Thank you very
security
much,
officers are...
Mr. President, thank you very much
a little
sa
bit,
atong Kaubans Media. Thank you, everybody.
At the end of the day, you listen, do not make noise there. God damn it, I will shoot all of you. At the end of the day, it is really your love for your country. And that you want a new generation of Filipinos would have a better life than what we have had. And I said, do not fuck my country. Do not fuck with our children. We cannot afford the rehab centers of America that's given free. We do not even have the materials. Because the budget is being prepared. The rehab will be next year. Because this budget now does not contain that, because it was never for, nobody foresaw that there were already millions being hit by the drug. They just thought, it was just a street habit there. They never knew that it involved police generals, even the Secretary of Justice, and her lover was the one collecting drug money from. So, how can you? There are about 508 police generals, about 500. In Region 3 alone, there are 100 drug pushers who are policemen. Some of them are already have shrunk brains, and they will fight. They will fight, believe me. If you want, I can arrange, if there's a drug operation, not here in Davao, there's no more. If you are in Manila, and if there's an operation against drug, you bring your camera and go with them. And you will see the truth. Just call me anytime. And if there's a big operation, bring your camera and your men and piggyback the entire operation. Fair enough?
Thank you very much.